Hey, I'm Olivia,
I'm Regan.
and you're listening to Soarin Around WDW. Today we're going to talk to you about the D23 updates.
Okay, episode 2, Soarin Around WDW. Pretty big one today, coming off of D23. Probably the best D23 that has existed, in my lifetime, probably. I can't think of a time that they've announced more things. Even if, whether you're happy about all the things or not, it was a lot of stuff. So...
Yeah, there's a lot to cover. There's a lot that we've been holding in, trying not to talk to each other about for the last couple days because there was just so much that they covered between the movies and the parks.
Yeah. Which is where the main focus... So the main focus is going to be on the parks today, but I want to touch on the movies because they did announce quite a few things that I think are a pretty big deal. So first thing I would say, Incredibles 3 was a huge shock.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, the second one was really, really good, but you could hear the age in some of the characters' voices.
Yeah, there's been debate online about are they going to age up the characters or are they going to keep them the same age? Between Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2, Jack's still a baby and just picked up where the other one left off.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they would pick it up with Mr. Incredible and Mrs. Incredible being older.
That's the question.
And then the kids being adults.
But then would it have as much charm? Literally one of our favorite parts about Incredibles is Jack. So if Jack's not a baby anymore, would it be as good?
Yeah, whatever. We'll see. New trailer for Moana 2. I like this trailer a lot better than the last one that they showed. It looks pretty good. I was a little nervous about that without Lin-Manuel Miranda doing the music because I think the soundtrack for the first one's probably my favorite Disney movie soundtrack. And so, yeah, I was a little nervous about that, but it looks good. And then they showed a lot of Marvel stuff. I'll just gloss over this because a lot of it wasn't intended to be shown, I don't think. A lot of screen recordings, so I haven't watched a lot of the trailers because I like to wait for higher quality stuff. But Fantastic Four, Daredevil Born Again, Ironheart, Thunderbolts, new Captain America 4 trailer, and probably more that I missed, but I think they did some stuff for the new Agatha Harkness show. But a lot of stuff for Marvel, not surprising. Also not surprising that we didn't get actual footage of those trailers. And then Toy Story 5, which
huge
eye roll
debate about. Yeah, I don't know. We have mixed feelings about this. 3 was the perfect way to end the series in the Frantic's opinion, but I feel both of us, both Maddie and I, really did not like 4, and I know that's somewhat controversial. Some people really loved Forky and really loved 4 and thought that it was still not necessarily just as good, but a good movie. We altogether just ignore the fact that there's a 4th movie.
Yeah.
So this 5th movie to us has to be incredible to really make it worth it.
Well, so they're touching on, I guess the plot is going to be, so there's 50 evil Buzz Lightyears, which is every single Toy Story has had an evil Buzz Lightyear to some extent. Maybe not 4, but the first 3.
Yeah.
Buzz was a main point of all of those.
Right.
And 5 is going to deal with, I guess, kids using electronics too much. And it's that's the same, I don't know. I guess that's an interesting concept, but it's you're touching on kids using electronics too much, but you want these kids to be using electronics to watch all your movies.
Right.
So, what's the message here?
Kids on their iPads watching Disney Plus.
Right. That's kind of literally what the promo image seemed to be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I have mixed feelings about it. I'll probably watch it eventually, but I'm probably not going to see that in theaters. Snow White live action. Girl can sing. She sounds good. I've never been a huge Snow White person in general, so I'm just not that excited about it.
Yeah, I feel of all the live actions that they could do, Snow White is not at the top of my list of oh yeah, I'm really excited about it. So
yeah, It also feels with how long it's taken that they kind of have acknowledged that the live action stuff has kind of died.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess not, because there was more than that. Because live action Lilo and Stitch also got.
Oh yeah.
And that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Stitch looks good.
Stitch looks good. I am curious. I don't know, some of the CGI mixed with human, I really loved Beauty and the Beast. I thought they did a good job with that live action, but some of the other ones I've seen, it just doesn't look legit. But the Stitch did look really cool, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it looks good. I like Stitch's. Stitch sounded very much the same. It kind of sounded like they might have just reused voice lines.
Yeah.
From the original, which excited for that. And then the Mufasa trailer for the Lion King prequel came out. I had like zero interest in this movie, like zero. Like I was not gonna see it. I still probably won't see it. But like when they announced that Lin-Manuel was writing the soundtrack for that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it might be okay. But I wasn't really impressed with the snippets that they showed in that trailer for the music, other than the really, really epic song at the end of the trailer. Did you watch that trailer?
Yeah.
Then it like plays like the song when he's walking up Pride Rock.
Yeah.
Like in a really orchestral. Like Steph loved that too. But like I still was kind of like, I don't think I'm gonna see this in theaters.
Yeah, I don't know that I would see it necessarily in theaters. I think the premise is interesting, and I do like when they do these like how. The backstories of people. Usually it's a villain, I feel like lately, like Cruella, Maleficent. So this is interesting that it's Mufasa and not Scar. But it seems like it does address both Mufasa and Scar, how they were brought up, blah, blah, blah. So I think the premise is interesting. We'll just have to see by the time it comes out what else they come out with the actual trailer and everything as it gets closer. But I am semi-interested in that one.
And then... I mean, Steph and I are big Broadway people and, like, musical fans, and so they announced our Hercules musical, and, like, I don't know, I forget the guy's name that came out and sang Go the Distance, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then they did a little bit of, what the heck is the name of the song? It's the intro song.
Oh.
Bless my soul.
Yeah.
And that was really good, too. And then we were devastated to find out that it's only going to London.
Yeah.
London's West End, and I was like, so we're going to miss out on that one.
I mean... Who knows?
I mean, they'll eventually maybe come here.
Yeah.
Didn't they used to have a Hercules Broadway?
No.
When we were younger? No, never?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It was like Aladdin was the big one after Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, obviously. But no, I don't think there was a Hercules one.
And then they're doing the Frozen Broadway similar, I would imagine similarly to how they did Hamilton.
Like on Disney
On Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that's probably because interest is dying off.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to, like, because I know that, like, Hamilton sales became, like, impossible. Tickets are impossible to get for Hamilton once the Disney Plus came out.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that's going to resurge.
I mean, they were pretty impossible before, too. I feel like that's...
It's just been popular.
It's just been so popular.
Okay.
So it is, I don't know. Frozen on Broadway, I don't think was what they thought it was going to be as far as, like, sales and... But, I mean, yeah.
Did you see it?
Mom saw it.
Okay, I was going to say. Okay. So Mom saw it. I don't remember her saying anything like particularly good about it. Yeah. Which, I mean, I wouldn't expect much more from.
But the best announcement of the musical is so freaking exciting.
Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
This is, I cannot wait. I definitely want to see it. That's a movie that we love. The soundtrack we love. I really hope they don't super stray. I think that's one of the problems with Frozen is they came up with all these original songs and there weren't very many of all these new songs. There weren't very many of the original songs. And so I
think
hope...
it's fine if it's additive.
Yeah.
If they only add in, they don't take away.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I hope they don't take away because the soundtrack for Greatest Showman is one of the best.
Yeah.
That was the soundtrack that we listened to over and over and over when my daughter was first born. That's like the only thing that would calm her down. So we love that movie. We love that soundtrack. And so that I was super excited to see. And I really hope somehow Hugh Jackman at least comes and does some sort of performance.
I mean, I guess he might. I mean, he's obviously done tons of
Musicals.
Broadway stuff before.
Yeah.
And so, like, but, like, I think that they make a lot of jokes in Deadpool and Wolverine about how Disney's going to, like, own him until he's 90 now.
Well.
And, like, yeah. So, like, I know they already have a lot of plans for him for
Other
future
stuff.
Marvel stuff. And so, but I don't know. I mean, he'll probably do something with it. I know that he was huge and he'll definitely be, like, producing it and stuff. He was huge in, like, getting the movie off the ground and then was pushing really hard for a musical originally. And it's, like, interesting because, like, you would have thought that when it was at a peak for a really long time where it had tons of traction, everyone loved it, and then they didn't really... I feel like that would have been the time to at least say that they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
so I wonder why it took so long to capitalize on it.
But maybe now it's like died down enough that people who really love it are going to get super excited about it. It will ramp up again. But I know a lot of people that either
had the Fox deal gone through
for
Like when Greatest Showman came out, had the Fox deal gone through?
Oh, I don't know.
Because that might be why.
Fox still.
Like Fox owned it, so Disney couldn't get it off the ground. So they bought it in 2019. They bought Fox in 2019.
Oh, so no, it was before that because you got married.
And it was in 2017 that Greatest Showman came out. Okay, so that is why. So Disney just played a part in getting it off the ground now because they couldn't before.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so very excited about Greatest Showman.
Yeah, lots of good movies, lots of good musical stuff. I mean, a lot of this, like the movies, is over the next 5 years or so. I don't think some of it's like immediate. I think Mufasa's this year, and a few others, but nothing that I'm super crazy about right now. Next year is huge for Marvel, but we didn't get to see most of those trailers. So let's move on to the coup de grace.
The main attraction.
The parks. So I guess...
Yeah, or just like...
Not for a long time. Like, it's just not really on our radar. So, like, starting, I would say, like, in, like, Shanghai and Disneyland Tokyo, they
Paris.
Paris. Like, they talked about some cool stuff that's coming to those places, but we're just less likely to get there in the near future, or, I guess, like, at release of these attractions. Not that we would never. So... Huge one, I guess, so for me, the Spider-Man coaster that's coming to Shanghai. I think they had said, so that there's like a coaster in Shanghai and then a ride in Hong Kong. The concept art that they showed for the ride in Hong Kong seemed like it's going to be some kind of a take on Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Like it was like him kind of pulling up a elevator-like contraption. And so that's what I'm thinking is going to be the case for Hong Kong. But... the coaster in Shanghai, I think it's not new.
I don't remember what they said about the Shanghai. I just was like, oh, Spider-Man, cool, and then kind of moved on from that.
Yeah. I was like half paying attention to that kind of stuff because, like I said, like I'm just way less likely to actually be able to go and see those anytime soon. But a lot of cool stuff in Paris as well. They did they announced a Lion King land, which I'm seeing a lot of mixed stuff about. Like, originally, it kind of looked like they were modeling it off of the live-action Lion King.
Yeah.
But the description says it's based on the animated classic. And I've seen, like, the model. I think the model has Mufasa from the movie.
Live action.
Simba. No. I think the model, not the concept art, but the model that the people were posting pictures of had either Simba or Mufasa, like, from the cartoon. So... I'm not really sure there. I mean, I think it'd be a big miss to not do it based on the cartoon because I think the live action is not that popular. Like, I know it made a lot of money, but I think it only made a lot of money because people were expecting it to be
similar to the cartoon.
It was similar to the cartoon, but not in good ways for some reason. Like, it just didn't land, at least for me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they do that based on the animated thing. And then, what else did they announce?
The nighttime show at Disneyland Paris, which has projections on Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
Fine.
Pretty big one. And then the Frozen Land, or Frozen Area.
Yes.
Opening in 2026, which is not too far off. I'm pretty sure the Frozen Area is currently in Tokyo.
Yeah, in Tokyo. So
it's wildly popular.
Very popular. Like, people are literally traveling to Tokyo because that opened. And I think just the currency exchange is like very much in people's favor to travel to Tokyo right now. So but the Frozen Land is a huge piece that I think has brought a lot of people over there, and that will be really cool. That would like make me want to go to Paris depending on what they do, because they didn't really say exactly what that would mean, like how many rides or restaurants or whatever. They just said like a Frozen Land in 2026 that will have attractions.
I think it's already been being built.
Okay.
Because for it to be done in 2026, I feel like I mean, I don't really follow
Paris
international news much, but I'm pretty sure that it has already been in development, and they were just showing the release date.
Yeah, I wish they would have given us a little more information about like what that means, but like you said, kind of neither here nor there because
and we're basing this all off of like tweets and YouTube videos, not like we weren't there, and so like there's been a lot of things that have been said on the show floor that are starting to come out now to give a bit more context to these announcements that I think helps a lot with clarity. Also, the Lion King Land is not in Disneyland Paris. Technically, it's in the other park, the Disney Adventure Park, which is newly named. It used to be Disney Studios, I believe, over there. And so I've never been. You've been, haven't you?
No, we did not get over there. No, because the only time I've been to Paris was with you.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So we did not. No, we wanted to go next summer, but our plans changed. It's our 10-year anniversary next year, so we thought about going over to Paris and doing that, but we ended up kind of switching gears because the kids are a little young. And trying to figure out all that was a lot of a headache. So we decided to switch gears and do California instead.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to seeing, I think a lot of these California things won't be done when we go, but at least the progress and kind of seeing the construction going on.
Yeah. None of it will be done.
Yeah. Well, except
Next
for
year.
Tiana's. Tiana's will be open, but we already knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But just being able to see the construction and kind of getting a feel for where they're putting things, because like we talked about in the first episode, Disneyland, the literal land that they own is so much smaller than World.
Yeah.
So trying to think in my head, which I've only been to Disneyland and California Adventure once in 2017. So trying to think in my head about, or 2018, where that's going to go. Like all these things, I'm just like, where are they putting this? So I think being able to see a little bit more of the construction and like where these things are going will help.
Yeah.
But it does seem like a decent amount of things there are going to be like kind of shoved in, like the Avenger stuff, which we can get into. Like things are kind of be shoved into smaller spots. So that'll be interesting.
Well, so the Avatar Land, we talked about that last week a little bit, but like people had already found where that was going to go, and I'm pretty sure it's confirmed to be going there.
Yeah.
Now, if I saw it on a map, I'd be able to point it out, but I'm not 100% sure where. And that isn't California Adventure.
Yeah, right.
Not everything was in California Adventure. I don't think Disneyland had any announcements. Other than
the Walt.
Oh yeah,
animatronic, which we can talk about.
Yeah,
so let's start with Avatar Land. Yeah, so the e-ticket boat ride,
similar to Shanghai Pirates.
Yeah, I really hope. I mean, Shanghai Pirates is supposed to be incredible. I've seen a couple videos of it. It looks really cool. I just hope it's so much better than the Navi River journey because
it has to be.
That was a huge letdown. Like when we went on Navi River journey the first time, I really thought that was going to be such a cool ride. Everybody's talking about this really cool animatronic. And we get on the ride. We waited like an hour and a half. And we get on that boat. And I'm like, okay, I hear the music. I see the really cool lights. And then we get to the end. I'm like, okay, there's one animatronic in this entire thing.
Well, look at this picture, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's already cooler than Navi River Journey.
Yeah.
And, like, this is, like... I mean, I think it's going to be really, really unique. And, like, we haven't had that ride system over here. And so, like, I think it's a really cool, like, difference. And it's not just, like, a boat ride, which is, like, kind of what more the vibe of the Coco ride that's been announced.
Right.
It's kind of just, like, a boat ride. Kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean or Small World. Like, still be really cool. Love Coco. I think it's going to be great. Have no idea where that's going to go.
Yeah.
But they said that's not... They're building that in 2026.
Yeah.
They're not breaking ground until 2026, and so
Coco will be more like going through the story of Coco, it seems. Whereas Avatar, the Avatar boat ride will be more of a
original story, like its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the. I mean, well, I guess that's not a California Adventure. The other thing's a California Adventure. So we've always known about the Avengers attraction, the e-ticket attraction that's being built in California Adventure ever since Avengers Campus has been like conceived. It was always intended to be like a Phase 1, Phase 2 thing, similar to how they did Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
With Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance. But unfortunately, with all the stuff that happened with COVID and everything, I think that whatever they were planning to do for that e-ticket attraction kind of fell off. And what's interesting is that you can kind of see it in... So it was originally supposed to be like a battle for Wakanda from Avengers Infinity War. Supposed to be like almost like single jetpack, like kind of like you're strapped in. Kind of similar to the ride vehicles actually that we see in Stark Flight Lab that was also announced. It looks like they kind of repurposed those ride vehicles for that. And then now the ride vehicle we're getting for this Avengers e-ticket attraction, this major attraction, is essentially just the scoop from the Spider-Man ride at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah.
It's literally like the same ride vehicle.
Yeah.
Which, like, while it's cool and it's fine, I just don't think it's going to be as cool as it could have been.
Right.
But I'm hoping they prove me wrong. I mean, like, I'm a massive Marvel fan, so like, I want to be on that ride very early when it opens, which is going to be tough because it's in California Adventure, but, like, that's a big deal for me, and so I hope they get that one right. The Stark Flight Lab...
Fine.
I'm glad Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to do, like, voice lines for it and stuff. It looks like it's going to make me very sick.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of those things where you would make your own roller coaster and they'd like stick you in it. And I'm like...
And so I don't know what the concept is. I don't know if there's going to be like, you can choose, because it's only like 2 people per thing. It looked like.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you can maybe choose like intensity, because that would be good. Because like, I mean, I saw like the demo of like what they ripped it from essentially. Like a club or something where it was like playing this like and it was just like spinning around people, and I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah,
so like
I'd
rather not have that be the case. People were comparing it to Forbidden Journey, the Harry Potter ride in Hogwarts at Islands of Adventure, in that like it's just like on an arm and you're in a chair and it lifts you up and does all this kind of thing, and it's like I think it looks a little bit more intense than that.
Yeah, it definitely looked more intense because it had the bars going over your shoulders.
Yeah,
which is like Rock and Roller Coaster versus Harry Potter, the Forbidden Journey. You're just in like a seat with a lap bar.
Just has a lap bar.
So I would think it would be more intense to have over the shoulders. Yeah, I don't think it has over the shoulders, does it?
It might.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
But the other thing that'll make or break that attraction for me, the Stark Flight Lab, is like, are you just stagnant or are you moving?
Right.
Are you going through a ride or are you just like sitting in a room going? Because that's kind of what it looked like. Is you're just like
sitting in a room
in a lab and you're just.
But to be honest, let me talk about. Gosh, the ride that makes me want to vomit is the Harry Potter ride, because you're moving and the arm is moving and the screens are moving. Like, that gets me. So if the Tony Stark one is like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to close my eyes the entire time and not be able to enjoy it because I just can't do the movement and the screens. And so
you think it'd be better to just sit on an arm and just flail around?
I'm not really excited about the concept of this at all.
Okay.
Period.
I guess fair enough. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see about that one. I do think the actual like Avengers Infinity ride, even if it is like similar, like you said, to the Spider-Man ride at Islands of Adventure, looks super cool. Like,
well, I think they switched the ride vehicle because of capacity.
Yeah.
So like the Spider-Man ride vehicle holds a lot more people and it moves quicker. Like I think they'll just be able to get more people on it versus like what they were looking at originally looked very much like Alone.
Yeah.
Where you're like on your own thing. I'm sure that's not what it would have ended up being. It probably would have ended up being two people. But still.
You can get more people in and out.
Yeah. So super excited. I mean, like, I guess they're doubling Avengers Campus's size.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that decision. That land is very underwhelming when you actually get there. Like, I was so excited to go there. The Spider-Man ride is kind of whatever. It's very Toy Story Mania-esque.
So see, when we were there, that was not open. It was still Bug's Life. So we haven't been since they opened the Avengers Campus, and now Eileen's into Spider-Man.
So you must have gone in 2017.
Was it 2017?
I don't know, because we went in 2018 and it wasn't open. We went again in 2021.
Right. Yeah.
No, two?
So we haven't been since 2018, and it was still a Bug's Life. We literally rode Heimlich's Choo Choo Train, and Maddie was like, how is this still here? This is so lame. Yeah. But we love Bug's Life, so...
Sure enough, it's not anymore.
Yeah, it's not. Not surprising that was time for that to go, sadly. But yeah, so I'm excited to just see Avengers Campus next summer and kind of see what's going on, and then see the construction too.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I guess they're breaking ground on Infinity Defense next year. They didn't say much else about everything else. I don't think the Stark Flight Lab thing is going to take much time. So I'm sure that will probably open earlier. But let's slide over to stuff that we
are super excited about.
I don't want to say like care more about, but it's like stuff that we'll experience more frequently. Starting with like the obvious stuff that we talked about last week, starting in Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
With so Tropical Americas is in full force.
Yep.
It's going to be entirely dedicated, essentially, to Encanto. Like the entire land seems like to be themed around Encanto, with Indiana Jones being kind of like its own thing off to the side.
And that's so. It looks like from what I read about Indiana Jones is that it's not following the same storyline as the Disneyland Indiana Jones ride. It's its own thing through like a South America type Incan,
Mayan. And it's supposed to be like, I think he's hunting some kind of mythical creature, so it's supposed to be like a kind of akin to like the Yeti.
Yeah.
Like how they can like match that vibe. That way it kind of feels like it belongs a bit more in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah. I'm excited about that because when I rode Indiana Jones at Disneyland, I was not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed. I was whelmed. Like, I just thought, like, it was cool. I did like it better than Dinosaur.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they're going to, like, update this. And then it sounds like, from what they're saying, that they're talking about updating a little bit newer technology at Disneyland maybe too, or like doing something, not changing the story, but renovating that a little bit is like some tweets that I read, which would be cool.
I didn't hear that.
Just because it just feels so outdated. Things just get outdated so fast.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited about Indiana Jones.
Pause. We didn't talk about the Walt.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Back in California.
Go back to California. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Walt? Because I have heard very controversial things today. I read a lot of like anger and then a lot of like excitement. And what do you think about this?
I mean,
what was your first reaction when you heard they were going to do a Walt animatronic?
That there was going to be controversy.
See, I didn't. I thought, how cool. That's going to be so cool.
I don't agree with there being controversy, but I've known for a while that people's opinions on this have been really divided.
Yeah.
Because Jack from DSNY Newscast did a video about this like a while ago about how he thinks there should be some kind of an animatronic for Walt or that there will be or something like that. And I think it was very divisive. And so I'm fine with it. I think it's cool. I'm interested to see how they do the voice. Like, if they're going to do voice with, like, AI, regardless, like, the family has to have approved it for it to happen.
It's also, like, things that I've read, which I know this is not correct, but it's like the second cousin, Betty Sue's niece's grandma's great-grandma's child says that she's pissed about this on Facebook. And I'm like, who, like, what? Like, obviously they had to get approval from somebody higher up on the food chain than Betty Sue.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the part that kind of annoys me is, like, so who are these people that are making these decisions about what Walt would want or wouldn't want? They obviously never met Walt Disney. It just feels a little bit... So that's where I was just really surprised that there was so much controversy. I guess, like, in my mind, I hadn't heard much about them doing this in the past, and so... when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's super cool, or thought people would think, like, whatever about it. But then they thought, like, very strongly about it. So it was very interesting. I mean, yeah, like you said, obviously the family, somebody in the family or someone higher up on the food chain than this person on Facebook had to give permission. And I guess, like, why do you think that people think Walt wouldn't want it?
I mean, I don't know. It's just like, it's advancing technology. It's immortalizing him in a new way, in a way that he kind of helped pioneer. So I feel like it's fine. Apparently it's like a limited time show that's going to come for the 70th anniversary, and then it's going to kind of like alternate with
Mr. Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to like get rid of that. And it's like, can't we at this point?
I didn't see that when we were there. Did you guys go to that?
No.
Yeah, that's something that I would go watch the Walt animatronic, but I don't really care about Mr. Lincoln, but I get it's a classic. So yeah, the Walt animatronic thing had a surprising amount of controversy to me. So I was definitely happy to see that there were some positive people, but there were more negatives than I thought. So that was interesting.
I mean, I'm for it. I think
Same.
it's cool. I don't even know if I'll get to see it, but still happy about it.
Yeah.
So back to Tropical America. So we were talking about Indiana Jones ride. Seems like it's going to be, it's going to reskin Dinosaur. The really interesting part of this is that, so they said that they're going to be doing Tropical Americas in phases, and that all of the phases will be done by 2027.
Right.
To me, what that means is that they're going to shut down what's left of Dino-Rama.
Yeah.
And they're going to build the Encanto stuff.
Yeah.
Open that. And then shut down Dinosaur.
That's what it sounded like. Like, I thought they were going to be closing Dinosaur, like, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they were talking about removing trees. People have been talking about... And half the animatronics don't work half the time anyway when you go on it now. So I was kind of surprised that they didn't do it backwards, which maybe they will, like, close that.
But I think it's, like, keeping capacity. Like, there's nothing to do at Animal Kingdom.
On that half of the park at all.
Right.
Yeah. The only thing that I was a little sad I didn't really hear much about if it's coming, if it's staying, if they're going to do something else with it, is that playground, the, like, boneyard playground that's right there.
Oh, that's gone.
Yeah, see, that's like so sad to me.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a cool thing that we stopped at a lot as kids.
But the stuff from Tropical Americas looks really cool.
It does. And I do think I saw the little image of, it looked like a carousel, maybe going to
there's
replace.
like a marketplace. It's going to replace the Triceratops spin.
Yeah. And then the casita, I'm guessing, is going where Primeval Whirl was.
Yeah, and then back behind it, probably.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like I think a proper dark ride.
Yeah.
No, boat ride? Boat ride.
Boat ride.
Boat ride.
So that's, I was looking at pictures here of where it will be at, and I can't find it right now, but it looks like, like it'll be kind of back all behind there. The building will be built up behind it, obviously, so you can't see it, similar to Haunted Mansion. And you'll go through on boat ride, which I'm also like, wow, they're really into boat rides. Like,
because capacity. They have really high capacity.
Yeah. It just feels like higher capacity than Pooh and stuff, I guess, because it's more people in a boat.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
And their system, like, how often does, like, Pirates go down?
Yeah, true.
Like, never.
True.
Small World, never.
It is true.
And so it's like they're high capacity and high, like, reliability. And so I think that's why they're leaning heavily into that. Versus, like, these dark rides that are going down constantly.
Yeah. Side note about the boat ride and its, like, functioning. Our dad used to work for a conveyor company back in the day, and he used to sell conveyor parts to, like, Pirates of the Caribbean and the other boat rides at Disney, like 3 cabs. So that is cool that they're still, like, that's the most efficient technology that they use still. So there we go, Johnny J's legacy. I'm very excited about the Encanto ride. Our family is very into Encanto. We really like it. We love the soundtrack, love the characters. So we're looking forward to that when it's open.
Lin-Manuel.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's fire. Yep.
So, very excited about that. So that's the Animal Kingdom that we kind of knew was coming. And then Zootopia show at Animal Kingdom.
Tough to Be a Bug.
Yeah.
Getting replaced.
Which again, we're big Bugs Life fans, but that show is terrifying. Like, I remember as a kid being scared. We've taken the kids to it once. My daughter wasn't terrified, but she didn't love it. So Zootopia is a really fun movie. We really like the soundtrack in that one too. So I think that will be really cool to see that come to life.
Yeah.
And Jason Bateman, Jennifer Goodwin, hopefully they'll voice the characters that are going to be in that. So that is supposed to open sooner rather than later. Isn't that 2026, I think?
Winter 2025.
Okay, so soon. Mm-hmm. So we're very excited about that because, Animal Kingdom just needs... I know Avatar wasn't that long ago, but it just feels like rough going there. And so having some new stuff to go to, I think will pull some people away from the other parks. Maybe, because then we get into all these other things that they're announcing.
Well, so just before we even move on to, like, the next big thing, like, the only park that didn't receive, like, a lot of love, I guess, was Epcot. Granted, like, when I was talking to Dad about this stuff, and he kind of made a good point about they had all these plans for Epcot at the last D23. Like, that was, like, the big focus.
Yeah.
Was Epcot and, like, the Future World revamp. So they've already poured a lot of money into that got wasted because of COVID. And so I think they probably thought, like, okay, if we just announce a bunch more stuff for Epcot, people are going to be like, okay, but this stuff isn't going to happen.
Right.
And so the only 2 things that came out of Epcot that I noticed was Spaceship Earth Lounge.
Cool, whatever.
Doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
We're usually running around the parks, not stopping
not
for
lounging.
anything, not even eating. So, like, and then the second thing is Test Track reopening
which
next year.
Which we knew.
But next year, I mean, like, it's good news.
Yeah.
You know?
Fine.
Like, then it'll be back open, I guess.
I'm just, the picture of the Test Track, like, the, model that they showed and, like, the concept art looked very similar to how it looks now. So I'm like, what are we changing here, guys?
I'm hoping for some lighting revamps, like, it just looking a bit better, like, lighting-wise. It's very boring right now.
It's very boring. I feel like the original was better, actually.
Yeah, I think so, too.
So, Test Track, cool. Spaceship Earth Lounge, cool.
Yeah, whatever. Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
And causing lots of uproar. But Monsters Inc. Land is coming to Hollywood Studios. And the concept art, we have 2 pieces of concept art for this that both contradict the crap out of each other. Because one looks like it is 100% the Muppets area. Like, that is the Muppets building.
Yeah.
And this is, like, the corner that leads into Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
And then this looks like it's the Launch Bay area with Disney Junior being over here.
Yeah.
and the animation.
I think it's more likely to be the launch bay area.
I think that area is
right?
much less utilized.
Correct.
Than the Muppets area. I think they'd make a lot less people angry if they did that versus if they got rid of Muppets. Because even though Muppet Vision 3D doesn't matter to most, me. I'll say me.
I love it.
I don't want to say, like, I think it would cause, like, even just with the balloon coming down, there was, like, an uproar.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think it would cause huge issues. They got rid of that area. Plus, you have two, like, pretty, I think, like,
busy
highly visited
areas.
Restaurants back there.
Yeah,
like
Mama Melrose
and
the
Pizza
place.
Rizzo.
Yeah.
And so I think getting rid of that. And then also I think that if you did all of this over there, they would have to get rid of Star Tours as well.
Right.
And
there's not enough space.
And they just invested so much into Star Tours that I just don't see that being a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I personally am a fan. Like, there is always the chance that it's going to be where Rock and Roller Coaster is. I think that's, like, the least likely.
Oh, like they get rid of Rock and Roller Coaster?
Yeah, because this looks like it could be... Like, somebody drew a picture of, like, the right side of this concept art could be the Cars area that's over there right now. And then this is, like, essentially the show building that currently exists, and they would just theme it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case, especially with the playground right there in the concept art. Like, where's that going to go if you put it in Rock and Roller Coaster area?
Yeah, I think more likely is, like you said, by the Disney Junior, because, remind me, again, got to pull up a map, but if we're looking at a map and you're walking into that area and Little Mermaid show that's supposed to be freaking coming back, is that ever coming back?
It's coming back.
I'm waiting. I have two little Ariel loving girls ready for that show. Then you have Disney Junior live on stage on the right, and then straight ahead, what's in there? Star Wars thing?
Star Wars launch base. So it's like character meet and greets for Star Wars and like models and stuff from Star Wars films.
Which they can move over somewhere to Star Wars Land or get rid of.
Or just get rid of it.
Yeah. And what's behind that? Like
nothing.
Okay.
This.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, what I gotta look at a map. But so that is the thing. I feel like everyone who's ever dreamed about something at Disney World with Monsters, Inc., they're like, adores roller coaster, adores roller coaster. So now that it's finally been announced, people were flipping out. I mean, I literally posted on Facebook, like, screaming, crying, throwing up. Like, I was so excited about this.
And we've been talking about, like, that's been something I feel like you said, everyone's kind of conceptualized. Every time that Rock and Roller Coaster goes down for refurbishment, people are like, it's the door coaster. It's coming. And so, like, not only that, but, like, for it to be confirmed as, like, a suspended roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to be really unique. Like, that's the only one in Disney, to my knowledge.
And we were just talking about how much we love the Monsters, Inc. Dark Ride. So I think getting a little bit of, like, Monsters, Inc. and the, you know, it just looks
great.
really
it's
cool.
Perfect.
So excited about this.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. And so, that wraps it up for Hollywood Studios. That's all they kind of announced there.
Yep.
But still huge. I mean, lots of great stuff coming. Because that park already has, like...
That's my favorite park.
The second most attractions. And I think what's important to recognize about... which kind of contradicts itself with what was announced today, which we'll get into, but, like... It seemed like they were really intentional about talking about what they were getting rid of in place of what's coming.
Yeah.
So I feel like they would have said something about Rock and Roller Coaster going away if this was the case. And also, they probably wouldn't have just revamped the crap out of Rock and Roller Coaster. Well, like, they just refurbed it for like a year.
Right. Yeah, they just did so much work on it. So I am still surprised that they didn't say anything about retheming Rock and Roller Coaster, like, different than Aerosmith. Sorry, Aerosmith. But whatever. I don't know. I said it's still a great roller coaster. So having another really great roller coaster on top of, like, Slinky, like, there's just a lot of great rides there. It's my favorite park. Yeah. So I'm really excited about this. And I do hope it doesn't replace Rock and Roller Coaster. Would I be devastated? Not devastated, but I'd be sad. But I do hope that we get some kind of hint about time frame or construction or whatever soon. Because I think a lot of people have so many questions.
I'll get to that.
Oh.
I heard some stuff today.
Oh, okay.
So last but certainly not least, Magic Kingdom.
Oh, my gosh.
Magic Kingdom is getting a whole overhaul.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's interesting because it's, like, not even really the beyond Big Thunder that we were expecting that we talked about last week. It's kind of, like, beside Big Thunder.
Well, but then I heard today that the Cars attraction, so literally just before I came here and I was looking at the map, they basically said that, well, I guess you're right. Like, Cars is replacing
Rivers of America.
Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer
And
Island.
that got confirmed today. And I saw a really cool thing where I was watching a video and they kind of like overlaid the map over a perfect picture of what exists now, like that map that you're looking at there.
Yeah.
And like, so here, so I got this. So currently in this picture, and I'll put it up on the screen for anyone that's actually watching and not just listening. So this is where the riverboat currently takes off.
Yeah.
And then this is the current walkway with like Pecos Bills and all that.
Uh-huh.
And then this is Tiana's and this is Big Thunder. And so this is all literally just
water and Tom Sawyer's
Island and Rivers of America, boom, right there. And so this walkway now on the right is going to go past Haunted Mansion, which is going to be back here, is going to lead into Villains Land, which is the other huge thing that got announced. So they essentially announced four attractions for Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, the 2 Cars attractions, and then Villains.
And then 2 in Villains. And 3 of them are massive e-ticket attractions. The only one that's... So there's 2 in Cars Land. There's going to be 1 that's e-ticket big. Not Radiator Springs Racers, but Radiator Springs Racers akin is what we're assuming. We don't know what kind of ride vehicle they're going to use and stuff like that yet, but like it seems very similar to Radiator Springs Racers over in California Adventure. But the second one seems like it's going to be just like a family-friendly, like go in circles.
Like Mater's.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, cool. My kids are into cars. I'm like, about cars, but
it provides great scenery. Like, there's something about Radiator Springs Racers and that whole area. Like, I'm not even a huge fan of Cars either, but like that area is like probably one of my favorites in all of Disney.
Themed.
Yeah, it's great.
Very well themed.
It looks good, and so while they could have just made Radiator Springs Racers and it would have blended pretty well with Big Thunder, like I'm glad that they're doing something different because it's like a lot of different terrain. There's a lot of good trees and nature in here now. And yeah, we're losing the water, we're losing the tranquility. It's a huge thing. People are really mad about it today.
People are really mad about the riverboat.
They just confirmed the riverboat in Rivers of America is going away like today. And so I think that people are really mad that that's going away. But I'm on the side of it was wasted space. Like, when was the last time you actually went to Tom Sawyer's Island? And if you actually went, like, what are you doing over there? Just
also, from a challenge perspective, getting rid of that riverboat and the rafts from a parkeology perspective is major. Like, going on something fun. Like, I don't want to sit on the rafts.
Exactly.
I don't want to sit on the riverboat.
Because that's like everyone's piece to that they've switched is like, oh, well, now you have to go on 2 rides instead of the riverboat.
At least they're fun.
But they're rides.
Yeah,
and they're not
they're
just
fun.
like the riverboat.
Agreed.
So really excited about the Cars area. Probably more excited about the Villains Land.
Oh my gosh. So this is the thing that I mentioned last week that I thought that was a reach. So getting concept art about this and hearing that there's going to be 2 e-ticket rides in this area.
One of them's clearly a coaster.
One of them's clearly and it looks like Maleficent-y, or do you think it's going to be...
I think because it is. The Thorns, the tracks back here.
The Raven.
In the corner, and then Maleficent Dragon. Like, that's just...
So freaking cool.
Like, it's going to be awesome. And everyone was like, oh, blue sky this, blue sky that. They've started construction on this. They already said they've started it. And they just hadn't said anything. Yeah. And so, like, that's insane. And so cool. I think that by the time that we go in December...
We'll be able to see some of it.
The river is going to be drained. They're going to already start working on all that stuff. I truly believe that because and also what's really cool about all this expansion is that they're still expanding within the bounds of Magic Kingdom, and so like the train's not going to have to close again. Like, and they still have all that area past the train that they can do stuff in the future with if they need to. Like, it's, I think something like the Villains Land is going to be something like 7 to 8 acres. Okay. And then the Cars Land is like roughly 4 to 4.5 acres.
So show me, we're going to pull up a map again so that y'all can see what we're talking about. But in this map here, where is Villains?
So Villains is going to be half of this blue chunk.
Okay.
Back into this purple. It's kind of like up here.
And the purple is, so this Cars is Haunted Mansion?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Cars is literally just going to cut right here when you cut...
Like
this in half.
Where Big Thunder is.
Yeah, so if you cut where it kind of curves in the middle of that river, you cut that right there, that's where Cars is going to be.
Okay, but they will have to close the train again.
No, they won't.
Okay,
because the train's all the way back here.
Oh, got it. I see it now.
So it goes through here. So it's not going to... so Villains Land is going to be here. and then the train goes past it through there. I mean, we don't know they don't have to close the train. That's kind of just the hope right now is they just reopened
open
it.
the train. Poor Maddie is obsessed with the train, and they keep closing it.
So I don't think they're going to close the train.
Okay.
But that's that. From a challenge perspective, we are losing 2 rides at Animal Kingdom and gaining 3.
Yep.
So we're up 1 at Animal.
Nothing at Epcot because it's just test
nothing
track.
Nothing at Epcot. Test track will just come back. And then we're losing technically 2 at Magic for
4.
The rafts and the riverboat and gaining 4 major attractions.
Yeah.
Which is just huge. And so Magic Kingdom now goes from like 23 or 24, 25 if you include Main Street vehicles to like 26, 27?
No,
28.
no. Yeah.
28. And so what we heard today, and this is what I was talking about, like context being given outside, and I don't know how this hasn't been tweeted out, but allegedly, according to Jack, again, a DSNY newscast, huge fan, he was saying that they said on the stage floor that this is all slated to be done by 2029.
Yeah. That's
everything that
crazy.
They announced.
That's crazy. I really hope so because I know COVID impacted Tron in a huge way, but I'm like, that is so much stuff. The theming, restaurants, like all that to get done. I mean...
Well, and so he was talking about how if you go past the train tracks right now, because that's the current like permitted land for Magic Kingdom, that they would have to go into like way more deep to like level out the land to build construction and do all that stuff, and so it would take a lot longer. But he said that it's a good sign that they've stayed within the bounds that they have, and that it seems possible to be done by 2029. I was going to say 2030 because I'm just a huge believer in that, like, it's not going to take 10 years. Like, I just have to believe that for myself. But 2029 would be great. I'm fine with 2030 if that's the case. Especially because, like, we're still going to get new stuff scattered throughout. Like, I'd imagine it's going to go probably...
Cars first.
You think?
Before Villains?
Before Villains, for sure. I'm talking about, like, across all of Disney World. It'll be, I think, Tropical America.
Yeah.
Then Monsters Inc. Land. Then Cars, then Villains, I think. Because Villains, while they've already started construction on it, seems the most...
in-depth.
And involved.
Yeah.
And like building a land versus like this is technically Cars land, but it doesn't look like much of a land. It looks like it's literally just going to be the rides.
Right.
Kind of right next to each other. And they don't have just a lot less land to work with for those. But that'll be like, what's really, really cool is that like this construction is going to be happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
So if you're ever anywhere around Frontierland, you'll be able to kind of like see if you're on Tiana's coming over the drop, you'll be able to see stuff. Like,
I was going to say, even with the walls, there's so many high points that you'll be able to see
right.
stuff
Like
from.
on Big Thunder, you'll probably be able to see stuff from Villains Land. Like I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that'll be able to track the progress of the construction throughout the time. And so, I mean, we'll be following all that stuff very closely over the time until it's open. But as of right now, just really excited.
Really excited. I feel like they over-delivered compared to what I was expecting
100%
from this D23.
And that's why a lot of people are super skeptical because Iger's supposed to step out again in 26. And so it's like, okay, how much of this could just get canned? If a new guy steps in, is like, this doesn't make sense financially.
But the fact they already started construction.
Right. I think he's doing that on purpose, is that they're trying to really get the ball rolling, which is why I think that it's very possible that we will see Dinosaur Land by the time we go. I think will be gone. Not Dinosaur, but the Dinorama area.
Dinorama.
I think that Rivers of America will be drained, and they'll be starting to work on that construction. And so we will have not the riverboat to worry about, which is beautiful.
Beautiful. Or the rafts.
So we can technically maybe even do like a parkeology run in December, because we'll be missing those two things that we think are silly.
I know this is very strong. Like, people feel very strongly about the rafts one way or another. So
yeah. I think it's silly. I think Main Street Vehicles is handled well by EveryRide in that like they're not consistent. So like the fact that you could plan your run weeks or months in advance and then show up and they just happen to not be running that day. Like they never come out. So I feel like if they never come out, they shouldn't count.
Right.
So I like EveryRide treats it as a bonus ride versus parkeology that kind of says it like has to be done.
You have to do it.
But we're going to try and probably do that. But we'll talk more about the challenge in next week's episode. We're going to talk about our previous run and then also talk about like kind of our plans for the future. That was D23. D23 was huge. Really, really happy with where we where we landed with D23.
The only thing that I saw that we missed, which you would know more about this, but Smuggler's Run in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. So Smuggler's Run, so just like Star Tours, which has a lot of rewritability in that like it'll be a different scene that you'll get every time.
Yeah.
They're just changing Smuggler's Run to have a different possible chance that you're riding a different mission, which I think is a really good idea with those screen rides. Yeah. It's like you can do whatever you want with them. And so that was cool. Really good addition.
Anything
there.
To switch up rides that you're going on the same ride, but it feels different. Even just Guardians' different song, like it feels different. Like that's cool.
Exactly.
I wish they would do that with Rock and Roller Coaster.
Makes rewritability a lot more appealing. And so for us that are quote unquote guaranteed to be going on those rides every time we go, it's nice. So yeah, that's basically it. That was D23.
Cool. Want to do an old versus new?
Oh yeah, let's do an old versus new.
Let me think about.
I think it's perfect time for Test Track versus Radiator Springs Racers.
Okay.
Because like with cars having come, like.
So we've been on both. We've both been to California, been on Radiator Springs Racers. We've both obviously been on Test Track many a time, and we could even throw in like old Test Track, current.
Yeah, we've been on 1.0 and 2.0.
Yeah, 2.0, and then Radiator Springs Racers. So give your rundown of top first, second, third.
So Radiator Springs Racers has on multiple occasions almost made Steph and I like throw everything away and just be like, we're going to Disneyland.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
It's like the ride. It's one of the rides that really, really draws us in. Okay. Granted, that is Steph's favorite park out of all of Disney, and so like there's a lot
Adventure.
And there's a lot of rides there that are great. But for some reason, like something about that land at night, it's just done really, really well. And we're not comparing the lands, so like the ride itself, it's just Test Track but more fun, in my opinion. It's the same ride vehicle, it's the same concept, but like having the little area where you go through the like it's a dark ride and you see the characters and you're inside and then you go out and you race and you're like racing the people next to you. It's just way more appealing to me than just like a test course.
Yeah.
So like I just don't think Test Track would ever I guess like draw me to the park. It's like I have to go on Test Track. Like I don't really feel that anymore.
Yeah.
Like I did when I was a kid, and I think it's because of Radiator Springs Racers. So I'm more for the new in that aspect. But
what about old Test Track 1.0 versus 2.0?
1.0.
Yeah.
So
right?
It felt faster in that you load and go faster because there was no like customize your car, which doesn't have any effect on anything. It's just the same ride, so it drives me crazy having to customize your car. Doesn't really affect the challenge because you just skip that during the challenge. But,
yeah.
No, 1.0, I mean, like, obviously it's been a while since I've been on 1.0, but, like, I have better memories of 1.0 and, like, the queue for 1.0 being a lot cooler other than just, like, cars. Like, that's kind of like all Test Track 2 is just like all these cars, and it's like,
and I feel like in the beginning when it opened and you could build your own car, it's like, oh, that sounds cool, and then it was like not that cool. And they didn't really use that technology as well as they could have,
and it like only works like half the time, like when you scan it in and stuff. Like, it's just, it definitely was due for a revamp, so I'm curious to see what they come up with now. I still don't think it's going to top Radiator Springs Racers. Sue me for being like, you know, everyone loves this original versus IP and all this stuff. Like, I'm a big fan of IP being brought into the parks because, like, that's what's recognizable to me. Like, those are the characters that I have attachments to. And again, I don't even like cars. I don't even like the movies. But, like, that ride is so good. And so, like, it's a rope drop for us almost every time we're in California Adventure. So, it'll be that or Guardians.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, it's funny you say that about Radiator Springs Racers because when Maddie and I went, we were like, okay, this is, I like remember, I don't know if I'm making this up in my head, but I remember seeing like a commercial for it when it first opened, maybe on Disney Channel. They featured like celebrities or whatever riding it, and it was like this whole thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And for us, for some reason, we were like a little bit let down. I don't know why. Like, it's very cool theming, don't get me wrong. The idea of racing versus just going is super cool, and loading, you know, double the amount of people. And we did not have to wait long for it. We had a fast pass or whatever it was called back. It was a fast pass still for Disneyland back then, for it. So we did enjoy it, but I actually think that I like Test Track 1.0 better. I don't know why. I know. I'm like crazy.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, it is. Maybe it's the nostalgia queen inside of me. But so I think I would say Test Track 1.0, Radiator Springs Racers, and then Test Track 2.0. Test Track 2.0 was just fine. And I really hope this new version has something different. It just feels so lame.
Yeah. Well, didn't the old Test Track used to be sponsored by someone else, and now it's sponsored by Chevy?
I can't remember.
Or was it always sponsored by Chevy? Because I think the new one's still sponsored by the same person.
Yeah.
So they're the ones like funding the remodel, I think.
The new one is still sponsored by Chevy?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so
or
too.
Or whoever it's sponsored by.
I'm pretty sure it's Chevy. But yeah. And I want to say it was Chevy the first time too. Because like the cars, when you come out, you go look at the cars. And it was like, oh, cool. I don't know. But I wish before they announced cars coming to Magic Kingdom that they would have just redone that as cars, even if it wasn't racers. But I guess it's because of the sponsorship, and it's in a weird area. It doesn't fit. I don't know.
Doesn't fit either, but
that whole ride is just like so interesting.
All right. So what do we got for our quiz question this week?
Okay, so for our trivia question, let's see. So this says, a sign that has since been removed from the Splash Mountain area in Orlando used to point to the Haunted Mansion attraction with this name. A, eerie, B, ghastly, C, creepy, or D, gory. So the sign that has since been removed from the Splash Mountain area in Orlando used to point to the Haunted Mansion attraction with this name.
I'm guessing eerie.
You think eerie?
But I don't know.
I'm going to say ghastly.
Let's see.
Oh, mother of pearl, you have to make a...
Let's see if I can Google it before you look it up.
You're going to cut this part out. Oh, that's so annoying. Sorry, guys. I have to be better about prepping the quiz questions. It's kind of like a spur-of-the-moment thing. Personal use. Continue. Ghastly! I was right.
Nice. Okay.
We'll have to find a picture of that sign and post it.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully if you chose B, ghastly, you were right. And let us know, guys, with the quiz questions. Should we do the answer right away, or should we do it the next week? Like, so y'all can guess in the comments. Do you like the polls?
Just Google it.
What do you think?
If you have a week.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess we should say the answer right away. I don't know. Give us feedback on, the old versus new, the trivia, what you like, what you don't like. Not that we're going to listen to you. This is kind of our thing for fun. But anyways, tell us how you feel. So,
All right.
I think that concludes our show. Yeah. And we're super excited to get to talk through all this with you. Stay tuned next week for our rundown through our EveryRide Points Challenge attempts and kind of how that got started. If you like this show, please give us either, depending on how you're listening to it, a subscribe, a like, a comment. Give us some stars on Spotify. We appreciate everybody who's been listening and following along with us. It's been a fun thing for us to do. Yeah. So until that next time,
all right,
we're soaring out of here.
See you next week.